Hello. Today I'll be walking you through the process of visualizing Raven model output using the RavenView online map-based visualization tool. To start, we're going to need two things. We're going to need a working Raven model with input and output files, and a GeoJSON map file of the basin. This file can be generated from an existing shapefile using some utilities that can be found on the Raven website. At a minimum, this shapefile has to have the subbasin IDs that are consistent with the raven.rbh file. This script that we use generates the downstream ID, area, and basin name, which then gets incorporated into the GeoJSON file. We're going to go through an example of the Liard River Basin in the Northwest Territories, and starting by going to the import subbasin map file, and loading in this Liard.json file. We open it up, and we see a set of subbasins. This is a watershed here in the southern Northwest Territories and also northern British Columbia. And we can start by just looking around this map. We can choose the information button here, select any one of these subbasins, and get a little bit of information about the subbasin properties, what the ID is, and what is downstream of that subbasin. We can also click on this second button on the left, and we can look at the contributing area for each one of the subbasins. So as we move the mouse around, we can see what are the contributing watersheds to that point. And we drag over here, we can see that the entire basin is lit up, and that means that this is the main primary outlet of this watershed. We can also do the same in reverse. If we click on this button here, which identifies the downstream zone, click on any one of the headwater basins, we see the track of the different subbasins the water has to pass through in order to get to the overall Liard River Basin outlet. Lastly, on this toolbar, we can click the Help button, which gives us a little bit of information about how to go through the tutorial, what the needs are of that JSON file, and the basic process of using RavenView. Now that we've looked at our watershed in the map form, now we're going to open up some Raven inputs and outputs. So I click on the File Explorer, and we can drag and drop any Raven input file. So these are the main Raven input files. I'm going to take the RVT file here, our time series file, and drag it here. And now we see that all the gauges that were in that RVT file have shown up, and they appear as icon markers. And so we click on them and get the name of the gauge and a little bit of information about them. Likewise, we can open up the output from this model, and we'll start by just porting over the hydrographs file. So I'm going to drag and drop this onto the panel. We now see that points have shown up on the map. We click on any one of these points, and we are able to visualize a time series of the modeled and observed hydrograph over a number of years. So in this case, we can zoom in on any one of these and see multiple years of modeled and observed flow with the value pointed out in the legend. If we want to revert to our full time period, we just double click. And we can, of course, close that out. And we can do this for any one of our hydrographs. If we want to figure out what we're looking at, we can also open up the menu bar at the right, click on the hydrographs button, and if we click on any one of these, it gives us the time series for that particular subbasin. It also highlights where that is on the map. So you see, as I move my mouse along this menu, it highlights different gauges in the system. So if they're poorly named, they're easily identified in the map. That's it for the hydrographs file. We can also open up any by subbasin custom output file. So I'm going to start up, I'm going to open up the snow, and I'm going to control and select multiple files. So these are two Raven output files, snow daily average by subbasin and soil daily average by subbasin. We drag and drop multiple files in this case, and we see the map has changed. And we can go to the slider bar here now is lit up, and we can progress over time and look at the evolution of snowpack in the basin or in the watershed at any given point in time. So the date is indicated here. This is on March 26, 1987. We can also click here and change the color scheme if we wish to. We'll go back to the simple blue color scheme. We can also hit play, and this will progress this as a movie. So now this is slowly evolving over time. The snow is melting, reverting back to zero, and I can speed up the movie with this here, and we can see the basin breathing as the annual snowpack accumulates in the mountains, less so in the valleys, and then melts every year. and this will continue to progress. We can stop that here. If we click on any one of these basins, it gives us the snowpack for that year in terms of a time series. So we can look at the lower snow in the valley and then the higher snows in the mountains. We can also hit Control-click and look at the amount of snow accumulating in multiple basins. I hope you've liked this brief run-through of the RavenView interface. We're working to have it accept more and more Raven output files as we see this tool evolve, and we hope you enjoy using it for all your Raven modeling needs. Thank you.